Whatever, I said, whatever kind of mustard.
Honey mustard at McDonald's is slap. It's so good.
You get the ketchup packet, you sprinkle it on the nugget, eat it, it's perfect.
No, dude, you gotta get a Big Mac. That's a man's meal. That food is no sauce.
Spaghetti sauce, but like, like penne noodles.
What do you usually do?
I know the excitement is building of the week and all the festivities starting tomorrow. However, it's only Tuesday, and that means we gotta get work done today. Tomorrow, I get it. Everybody, who's not leaving at 11? Who's not leaving at 12? Everybody in here is going tomorrow?
I volunteer not to go. I'm going.
Okay, so most of you will be leaving, like, you do know there's no lunch. So I understand all that building up and then, but you do have to do something done today. What's that? Your lunch is at 11:30. And then you get on the bus at 5 to 12.
Wait, what do people do who aren't going?
There's actually an early dismissal. So, wait, is there anyone that's not going to the game and isn't doing the early dismissal? I'm gonna be interested to see how many kids are actually still here. That they didn't go to the game and they didn't take advantage of early dismissal. That'll be interesting. Now, hopefully I don't see it, but I'm still on the chance.
You're a ref, aren't you? No, he's gonna go ref for like Wellsville.
not. You're going. It's like saying you get in free to sit.
What's more important,
this or reffing a freshman game?
Personally,
I bet it's a girls' game too.
Professionally,
It's probably like a junior high girls' game. You don't even need refs.
Maybe I'm different.
Have the coaches call.
He's not the average guy.
He's going to leave it.
all right, here we go. Having said that, this is the, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Roaring Twenties, but you notice, Jonathan, that lately we've been taking a pause from like, hey, let's talk about all the fun prohibition and gangsta Al Capone. What's going on in the 20s? Because it's not just about the economic boom and the fun and frivolity of rebellious young people going out and partying all the time. There is more to it. I think we left off here yesterday. Is that true? What else is going on as we take care of your stuff? However, the world has changed. There are all of these trade routes. America does kind of depend on that international trade to increase her prosperity. How's America going to handle being from the problems of the world, yet also be involved in trading with the world? That's going to bring us more prosperity. Plans. One of the plans to bring world peace was, we talked about this extensively yesterday, but on the surface looks like a very pro-American, pro-British plan. Is actually not. It's a American reports. No. America had the capability, and Great Britain really had the capability to build their naval superiority way beyond that, way beyond the capability of Japan, Italy, France, and then did. Who's Coolidge? He's the one who becomes president after Harding. Remember, Harding became president after Wilson. Harding was the first president elected after the 19th Amendment, which was women's suffrage. Suffrage? Suffrage? No. Suffrage, no E in the middle. It's the right to vote. He did away with, basically, not totally, officially did away with, but for all intents and purposes, kind of did away with the whole Monroe Doctrine and Roosevelt corollary, pulled our troops out of Latin America. We left off with this. In economics, you would call isolationism protectionism. We are going to protect our market. We want Americans to buy American products. We want Americans to produce and Americans to way, but we want to make sure that we have a trade surplus, not a deficit with other countries. So we want to be able to trade, but then also protect our company. So that's why, again, the higher tariffs. Yes, sir. All right, so this falls in line with the whole isolationist thinking and movement. Everybody understand? Buy American. You hear that all the time, even today, right? 100 years later. Check your household. Check all the labels. See how many things are made in America. Okay. Remember, one of the reasons, or one of the outcomes of the war was that, actually, one of the reasons we entered the war is our allies need to win. It was a lot of money. They owe us $22 billion. Well, is it wrong for America to want that to be paid? Okay, was that wrong that America wants the war debt to be paid? The war's over, right? If your friend owes you money, but they're having a hard time, would you be gracious, and say, I'll give you more time?
Sure.
Right? Okay, so that makes sense, right? So if it's our allies that owe us money, and they're trying to rebuild after the war, and they're using a lot of their resources and finances to rebuild their own countries because they've been totally shattered by war, it would make sense that America would show some grace, right? The friendly countries. From the European perspective, they might even be thinking, the audacity. Like if it was your good friend and they knew how much trouble you were having, the audacity that you're asking us to pay this right now when you see how much trouble we're having. And matter of fact, America doesn't want, they don't want it paid back in goods and stuffs, right? They want it paid back in cash, or actually gold. Because gold is the main thing that you would want in exchange, because gold is not a piece of paper that can burn or that can lose or is something that always has intrinsic value. Does that make sense? You might hear commercials all the time on TV. Hey, worried about the economy and inflation or whatever? Buy gold. Gold is something that will always have value. Paper money, the American dollar compared to the European euro, who knows what's going to happen with those things, but gold is gold, right? So we want the money paid back in gold. So European countries have that demand, our friends. So who are they going to press on? They're going to put pressure. Blame for the war? Germany. Germany, remember what that dollar figure was? 30 billion. They're supposed to be paying to rebuild all of Europe. They're the ones that France and Great Britain are going to get the money from to repay America. You see, there's a little web being weaved here. A cycle of money internationally. They owe us. Germany owes them. We want paid. They want paid from Germany. There's a lot of turmoil in Europe because all of these countries are trying to rebuild. Germany doesn't think it's fair. Even our allies probably don't think it's fair that we're asking for the money in the middle of this rebuild. America, by the way, is like, hey, time for everybody to pay up, right? So here's what happens. One of our congressmen, so the Dawes plan is this. A few countries, let's get together on this. France and Great Britain, we're going to lower the interest rate on the money you owe us. Okay, thank you. Germany, we're going to reduce the reparations. Instead of 30 billion, you only got to pay, I forget the number, 20 some billion. You get billions of dollars off your war bill. This is the kind of funny part to me. Germany, America will loan you money, I guess, to pay back France and Great Britain, so that France and Great Britain can pay us back, to agree on something and and lighten the load for everybody. What if in the end, America does profit from it? What if America now is gonna get repaid by France and Great Britain, and now they're gonna get paid with interest back from Germany ostensibly at some point? Is it a bad thing that an American came up with a plan that will help everybody and maybe in the end help America the most? Is that a bad thing? Don't be serious, because if you think it is, say it. Like, I don't think this is right, Mr. Franklin. Why is America always coming up winner? Aren't we all in this together? And maybe one of the reasons we become so prosperous with industrialization and then the 20th century with the wars and capitalizing on opportunities that came that America could capitalize on and benefit from and prosper from. Should I feel guilty about that? You do know that there's a large segment of our population and they're teaching in universities, and you guys are getting really close to participating in courses that are going to teach from that perspective. That the words that were up here yesterday, American exceptionalism, are hogwash, because we've only become this exceptional place, or supposedly exceptional place, because they've taken advantage of all the other countries through this. And if you're not equipped to defend against that, or you don't understand where that sentiment's coming from, then everything this guy's saying to you will be wiped away immediately. Just like, scarily, I've experienced this in 26 years and former students, just like you spent your parents and your school and your teachers and your church and all the people associated with you invest all of this time, energy, and money into having you educated, especially in a place like this, and you go to school at a higher level for one semester and something happened. You got in that college class where the professor obviously is the smartest person in the room and the smartest person in the world, and they're teaching you things like, hey, what's wrong with you? Don't you see 2 + 2 = 4, and Darwinian evolution is absolutely true. Can't you see it? What is wrong with you? You must be blinded by that. Don't you easily see that Darwinian evolution is true? They're showing you right there with facts and figures and pictures, and you realize how easily you will be drawn into that if you're not ready for it? What's that have to do with what you're talking about, Mr. Franklin? Well, same thing. Don't you see how America has been unjust to the rest of the world in becoming this superpower? And isn't it time for, speaking of reparations, isn't it time for America to be brought down a few pegs? Because America has been built on, quote unquote, taking advantage of all these other countries. So again, is it a bad thing that the leaders of one of the almost 200 nation states in the world work for the betterment of their nation state? I'm asking you, because they won't bring it to you in those terms. They'll just bring it to you with, hey, this is what America did here. This is where America went to this place and took advantage of that country. And America took the resources from that country. And all America cares about is the oil in the Middle East. They don't care about the people. That's the perspective they're going to be. It's going to be, I'm telling you, you're going to be flooded with it if you have higher education in a public institution, and sadly in some Christian in name only places of higher education. So that's why I'm asking you the question now, for something for you to think about now, and then learn about outside of what I'm telling you, learn about it and solidify your thoughts on it so that someone can't come in and just easily break down everything that you've been taught by your family, school, and church for 18 years. And in a matter of months, I've seen it happen. Literally, whether I actually cried tears coming out of my eyes, felt like it, hearing about some former students in a short period of time what happened. Because look, you're in an environment where everybody's thinking that way, and the professor's teaching it that way. You're like, oh, well, first you just start to question everything else you've learned your whole life, and then they keep saying it, and they keep making it so clear. Like I said,
They will make it seem like 2 + 2 is 4. I think I mentioned to you, there's lies, there's darn lies, and then there's statistics. We can take information. How does Bill Nye and Ken Ham use the same fossil records, the same information, and come to 2 different conclusions? Because they're coming at it from 2 different worldviews. Right? They're coming at it from, this is what they think is true, and this is what they think is true. If you're a Christian, you just don't think something's true, you know. Because a spirit-filled Christian is edified by truth because the Spirit is in them. And the world out there is divided. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to go into sermonette mode again, but some things have to be said, Noel. Because that's why I'm here. To train, to come alongside your parents, to train and equip you to be what God's called you to be. Not to have that all torn down. Everybody get all this? So is America going to benefit? Probably. If America doesn't benefit, who would? Are we supposed to allow the other countries? I mean, really, I'm not being facetious. Back to the analogy I made yesterday. Is LeBron James supposed to only play 20 minutes a game so the other team is more fair? Not live in a competitive world. Is that not reality? Is Woodrow Wilson's idealism, did it blind him to reality? Hey, this is what I wish the world, we wish the world was heaven. We wish that this was utopia. Guess what? It's not. So, please don't feel guilty that you're an American. Feel blessed. Feel maybe that with all your blessings, you're obligated to help other people. Absolutely. But there are going to be people that are going to try to make you feel guilty for being American, for being white. So, to more fun things like Roaring '20s. Why was the decade called the Roaring '20s? Well, you had this attitude, this social attitude that, I don't know, coming out of the war and people were happy and they wanted to party. This happened in a vacuum. I mean, these things happen over time. Generation, especially since we're getting further away from our foundation and our anchor, which is the Word. So maybe parents over the last couple generations before this were being a little more lax in teaching strict. Don't you hate that word, strict? Biblical disciplines class. Like I'm thinking also the prayer. One kid, you have one room. There's not one. But no, this is becoming more widespread. So why? It would be like we could study that for weeks. Why it happened, but they're happening. Some changes, like always, are seemingly innocent. Like you want to get your hair cut shorter. Is that necessarily ungodly or rebellious? Maybe not, but it is true. In some cases, it was just outright rebellion. I'm getting my hair cut, Daddy, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, that was true. That just happened. I'm wearing more makeup. I'm getting my ears pierced. Was it always the case that was true? No. Some people just like, hey, I like my hair a little shorter. Some, and a lot of them actually, compared to previous generations, were doing it to rebel against the tradition. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't. What's not drinking water? There you go. Unless I just mentioned it now. Anyway, one indicator of what's going on in society that might lead to this generation of kids being more rebellious, that's not a misprint, there's not too many zeros, that's 2,000%. So in 2 generations in America, post-Civil War, you've strong theory that when you look at history, the breakdown of the family leads to a lot of negative outcomes in a society and a whole civilization. We talk about the media, and we talk about it as a singular. like it's singular. No, you know that bacteria is the plural for bacterium, right? So now you know media is a plural for medium. So you got radio. Radio is becoming in everyone's home. What's on radio? Advertisements to get you to buy stuff. What's on those advertisements? Appealing maybe to that little rebellious spirit that's in us all. Even in Mr. Franken, even in Kate, there's a little bit of it. Right? We all got that little bit in. And actually, rebellion sells. In some cases, rebellion is cool. One of the most popular movies of the 50s was a movie literally called Rebel Without a Cause. Ever heard of it? He's so cultured. Rebel Without a Cause. James Dean, popular actor. His leather jacket, you know, with the collar up. And the whole movie, basically the gist of the movie is this: the kid just keeps getting in trouble. Why? I don't know, just cause. There's really no cause. He's just a rebel. And of course he's cool. You know, you go to the teenagers going to the movie and, you know, he's cool. Movies are going to have themes to it. Like, we look at the movies of the 20s and we